Welcome. Today is Mentor Monday with Cory Fisk with Construction Management Online. I'm grateful for you to be here today, and we're just going to be talking about some questions that construction managers have when trying to accelerate their growth in this career path. So we're going to start off with one of the questions that was sent in, and just let me get my tech going here. But how do I find a mentor to accelerate my construction management career? Well, the easy thing to say about this is that mentors are everywhere. So everywhere you look on your construction job site, you have the opportunity to gain mentorship from someone. We're always 2 steps ahead or 2 steps behind. So even you yourself can be a mentor. We're all learning from each other all of the time. One of the things that I would say is the most valuable part of understanding the need for a mentor is recognizing when you're being mentored too. So when I was a young construction manager and working as an assistant construction manager, actually for Fleur Daniel on a prison project, I didn't know what I was doing, literally. And so they brought in a retired mentor to be able to help organize and structure the type of correspondence that would be necessary on my bid package, because we did anticipate it was going to go through a legal struggle. And this gentleman, he had been with Fleur Daniel for many years. He had been in Europe on many of their big fuel projects. And it was amazing to have him as a friend supporting me through the stressful and very high anxiety time of building out what needed to happen in order for us to see this bid package successful. Now, I had no previous experience, so I really had no idea why we would even be looking at this as a potential litigation case and why we had to structure correspondence the way that we did. But 7 years later, when I had to do a deposition, that's when it all became so clear to me of what John was in my life, and that was a mentor. Now, many of our mentor conversations took place during his smoke break on the deck of the job site trailer. And a lot of them took place over lunch. And I didn't realize that what I was getting was a flood of 45 plus years of tremendous experience in the construction industry. So I think one of the most important things to recognize when you're looking for a mentor is not to miss the trees for the forest. It could be that person standing right in front of you. And so just take what you want from people and learn from those experiences, and what doesn't resonate with you or what isn't, what you're not prepared to entail at that particular point in time, just let it go. Just let it roll off your shoulders. If it becomes a need necessary in your future, your subconscious filing cabinet will have grabbed it and filed it for you to remember it in the future for something else that you're going to be working on. So when we're looking at having, the most important thing is recognizing when we're being mentored so that we can keep our mind open and be able to listen and learn from that experience. Now, I think another very important thing to recognize is not everyone is there as a mentor. And so some people are providing critical information or things that are not making you feel good about the situation because they're being very harsh on you, or the way that they're telling you that you may not have done something correctly isn't sitting well with you. We can still learn from those experiences. But when we're looking for a mentor, we're also looking for someone who's giving us a positive experience so that we can build the type of respect and trust in that person to be able to listen to them when they do have more critical things that need to be said to us in order to get us on the right path. Sometimes our mentors know how to do something really, really well, but they don't necessarily know how to have the patience or take the time to be able to break it down so that it is in chewable pieces for where your mind is at and where your level of knowledge is allowing you to be able to accept new information. So just roll with it and just be grateful of all of the amazing work experience that we have on these job sites. We have a lot of, I call them elders because to me, it's a wise older person than just saying old people on a job site. But we have a lot of people that are on the edge of retirement, and being able to listen to our elders in generational storytelling, the experiences that they've had growing up into the construction industry are all opportunities for us to be able to associate what they've said to what we're going through, which is going to help us accelerate our learning. So let's go on to that next question. Today, it's going to be, what is the best way to put together a change order? Okay, so the best way to put together a change order, first, before I go down this road, I just want to make sure that we are defining what a change order is. Okay, so a change order is either one or many proposed change requests or change requests from the owner that have been identified and approved in order now to be packaged into a change order that is going to go through another approval process, whether it be for a school board or a finance committee. And so a change order is actually already an approved motion. So when we're looking at putting together a proposed change order, what we're going to be looking at is a proposed change order typically is coming from the contractor. They're proposing that there be added money and time or a credit, a deduction of money and time, or no change for a proposed change in the contract documents. So when we're putting this together, it usually has been generated by some type of correspondence, either an RFI asking for clarity from the design team and the owner and construction manager, or it could have been brought up in a set of meeting minutes, or it could have been brought up in correspondence. Whatever is the original intent of that proposed change order, that's where your change order collection of information is going to start. So I like to think that it's in a request for information, which has been able to go through the review process, identify a specific solution that is going to be initiating the proposed cost time change, and then being able to identify any supporting evidence or documentation for that proposed change order. That, again, is also going to come in the form of meeting minutes, conversations out in the field, drawings, specification sections, and any correspondence that may have taken place to identify the different positions supporting that proposed change order. Now, as a construction manager, it is very important that you are not just accepting this change order as a done deal or a package that's been submitted to you. It is first and foremost your responsibility to determine that there is a need for this change order. And that the second thing is understanding the difference in the work, the way that it was originally intended to happen, and the potential change in cost or time for the way it is now being directed or instructed to happen. And the reason why this is important is because all contractors should have an understanding of means and methods of how they were going to complete the final deliverable. So there should be a baseline for everything that is held within the contract documents. And so that baseline shouldn't be charged again in a proposed change order. So just making that very clear is going to be able to help define what the actual cost and change is impacting the overall baseline and, schedule and scope of work of the project. Now, a change request is going to be something that comes from the owner, usually through the architect or the construction manager. And it is that they have a defined set of contract documents. But now, as they're seeing the work be put in place, they are starting to question some of the original ideas and or want to add or remove scopes of work from the original base contract. And so they will request to change the scope of work to the contractor. And this is going to have the exact same structure pattern. That could happen in an RFI that is being responded to by the architect, or it could be brought up in a discussion, meeting minutes, correspondence. But in this particular case, the direction is going to come from the architect, either in the form of a change in condition or an architectural supplement instruction or some other acronym that construction chooses to use for a new design for a specific scope of work. And so once that change request has been given to the contractor, then now the contractor can put a cost to it and allow the owner the opportunity of being able to move forward with that or to retain the original structure of the scope of work so that they don't have to now expend that additional cost. So once these have been approved and they're ready to be paid, then we're going to put them together into a change order. That change order then should have absolutely no resistance to any kind of school board or finance committee. There are times when we don't want to exceed 10% of the contract amount because it looks like possibly there were some behind the door agendas that might have been going on. This is mostly in public works that I'm talking about right now. And so we want to make sure that when we package that, it's going to be a clean, just an easy send through for the school board. So we don't have to explain a lot in front of the public and do all of that. So with that, that's how you're going to put a change order together. Now, we have a step-by-step process in the Skill Builder mini courses, and that's going to be able to help you really understand each individual component of a change order. These are very detailed steps with a lot more fundamental information for each one, but in a quick kind of mentoring way, I'm going to tell you that that is how you build a change order. So the last question today is, how do I create an estimate for a project? And so when we're looking at creating an estimate for a project, we first have to define what does that project mean. So that project could be the internal scope of work within a construction project, or it could be the entire construction project itself. So obviously, these are two very different types of estimates. And so you need to know what type of estimate you're looking at building. Is it going to be a budgetary estimate that is just kind of trying to get you close to have an understanding of whether or not this project has feasibility? Does the owner even have money to do this project? And so putting together a big overall view for something like that isn't really going to require very detailed drawings. You could actually do a budget off of a very conceptual type of drawing and being able to build an overall cost of the project. But if we're talking about an overall bid, an estimate where you're really trying to win this project and you want to move forward and you want a lot of detail associated with it, then of course you're going to want as much information as you can get your hands on. And that's going to include very detailed construction drawings. So you want those to be as complete as possible. Now, when we're putting that estimate together, we are going to have an estimator's journal. And in that estimator's journal, we're going to make sure that we're documenting where we're getting our numbers at. So when did we get our numbers? Has this particular project been on hold for 2 years? Are those numbers even still good? Is there escalation included? Is there inflation included? Is there contractor climate included? So Contractor climate would be summer work versus winter work. There's a lot more hungry contractors in the winter who might be willing to give you a little bit better price. And so we're going to look at some of those things in our estimator's journal. In our estimator's journal, we also want to identify which specification section we are including and covering in this potential cost. What drawings are we using to come up with the numbers for this potential cost? What are the calculations and quantities that we've come up with? Are there any discrepancies between the specifications and the drawings? And so these are things that we're going to gather as evidence in order to continue building out our estimate. We also have to be aware if there are multiple people involved in building an estimate. Everybody always does everything different. So the better you document that in your estimator's journal with notes is going to be very important, just so that you know that you're not overlapping on the cost of some things and that you're not missing other things completely out of the bid or out of the estimate. When we're talking about building an estimate for something ongoing in the project, so like a change order, we are going to first make sure that the scope of work is 100% clearly defined and that we understand the means and methods of which the contractor was originally responsible for the work, and now the new means and methods that are going to be necessary to complete the work. Then we also want to take even a higher view of that and see how is that change order potentially impacting any other work that might be happening on the job, and does that impact carry with it a cost and time that is being overseen in this change order that will need to be considered in the overall budget. Money's really important, and keeping track of that money is critical, especially to an owner who can't just go back to the bank anytime they want to grab another $10,000 check. So we need to know where our money's being spent, how it's being spent, and being able to be very clear on what types of estimates we need, what types of estimates we're building, and what information we're using in each of those estimates is going to be really important. And then I would say probably the most important thing about putting an estimate together is making sure that you have relationships in place. Those relationships are going to be with your subcontractors, but they're going to be with your suppliers, your manufacturers, your understanding of how important it is to really commit to a lump sum of product that's going to be coming, being able to commit to a time and a date, and how that can help your overall budget and number, and who's going to be really performing that work. Is it the A team or the B team on your construction team? And so just understanding some of those is going to be important. Always having an appreciation of weather, whether it's too cold and you can't work, or too hot and you have lots of water and breaks that need to be included in the overall time and labor that it takes to do some of this work. Understanding outside influences in your estimates will also be a critical component. So with that, that's really all that we have to talk about with our Mentor Monday today. I do want to remind you to make sure that you follow Construction Management Online on LinkedIn if you want to learn more about the construction manager characters that we have that are explaining their role and how they built their destination map in the construction management industry. And then I'm, of course, wanting to give you this fantastic free 20 prompt for construction. It's specifically designed to help you with your meeting minutes, your correspondence, any writing that you would be doing that's going to help you be able to correct your grammar, your spelling, and organize your ideas. I guarantee you're going to find an extra 10 hours a week by learning how to use ChatGPT in construction. And then you can always follow these videos and short videos that are going to help you accelerate your construction management career on our YouTube channel at CM Online. So Thank you again. I'm here on Mondays at 10 Pacific time, and always subscribe to the newsletter just to get your notifications of when we're going to be online. Have an absolutely wonderful week. I will see you next Monday.